Hi everybody, this is Alice, Bejeweled Hedgehog, and I am here for my Crafty People Monday. Okay, sorry about the way I look. It just seems like whenever I sit down to do vlogs, or, videos, it just happens to be at the particular moment when I am not looking my best. Oh well, you're not supposed to look at me, you're supposed to look at the stuff that I have done. I have not done a whole lot in these past 2 weeks. Well, what I did do was I started drawing in my journals, in my book journal, and using fancy paper and stickers. And I wasn't thinking if I had, I would have held them back to show on Crafty People. But I didn't think of that. I already showed them. So what else have I been doing? I I have been trying to do art with very, very mixed results. My nieces went on a vacation last week and lent me a bunch of real art supplies, meaning something other than magic markers. And I fooled around with them, and I'm not really happy with anything that I did. But something that I did do that I was a little more comfortable with was just making little decorative bits of paper that I'm going to probably stick in my journals or my smash books. So I will show you that. I'm not really I'm not a drawer. I will have to admit that, although I love to make things. So what I do like to do is stamp things, and at the moment I only have 3 stamps. I have a hedgehog stamp and 2 fancy stamps. So this, unfortunately, the lighting in here, it really looks crappier than it actually is. When I get it up close, you can see there's variations in the thickness of the stamping ink, whatever you want to call it, because this is just supposed to give the impression of maybe like cherry blossoms. Now back here, it just looks like icky finger painting. But I'm really not as disappointed with this in real life as it's kind of coming across. This is just a piece of regular blue paper, and I went ahead, it has a slight sheen to it, because I took the Gold Shimmer Mod Podge and went ahead and put a thin coat of it on here. And then what I used was celery. I love to make flowers out of celery because when you cut it, the little curvy parts make perfect petals. So these are just some randomly pink blotches and some green to kind of look like leaves and just give a vague overall impression of flowers. This is a little thicker. This is cardstock. And this came out a lot better than using the paper. And I did the same thing. I took the Mod Podge, and you can see it a little bit. Instead of putting it on smoothly, I took the sponge and I just, splotched it on, so it really has a lot of texture. This is also Gold Shimmer Mod Podge as the background. And then these are celery flowers. And I took a gold marker and kind of enhanced the petals. And this is just going to be stuck in a smash book or something, maybe. So anyhow, that's what that is. And this is another one that I experimented with the Gold Shimmer Mod Podge. And this is not cardstock. Whenever I stamp or do anything, like put the Mod Podge on regular weight paper, it tends to get a little curly and crinkly. But I like this because I put blue roses, blue celery roses on it, and I kind of put it all over so it would look sort of like old-fashioned wallpaper. And when I get it up closer, you can see the little celery, like where the little stringy things in it are. So this is just more decorative journaling stuff. Now the one thing about Mod Podge is it is sticky. It's presumably, I think I talked about this in one of my videos about jewelry before. It's not a good sealant. It will stick. If I take one of these and stick it in a smash book or a journal, it will end up sticking to the page behind it. So actually, before I do that, I have a final coating of a non-Mod Podge, like decoupage varnish, that I'm going to put over it. I only use the Mod Podge because it's such a nice way of getting shimmers and glitters and things like that onto stuff. So anyhow, here are more stampings. I just, for some reason, I like the results of things when I stamp them. This is a blue, and it's the same ink. It just varies a lot because there's water in the celery, and it sort of varies the intensity of the stamp pad ink. So this is just another little thingy. These are all basically practice thingies. And then this is a blue flower with more leaves on a blue piece of paper. Celery flower. I think this is my favorite. This is a celery rose, and if you wondered what all these little bubbly things are in the background, the little bubbly things are blueberries. If you take you hold it by the stem. Now it works best for the little blueberries that are not squishy, the ones that are kind of hard that you might not even want to eat anyway, because they hold their shape better. And then they just make these great little bubbly circles. And I used a variety of different inks. So this is the best one, in my opinion. This is another celery flower that's been enhanced with magic marker to give the petals more shape. And I used magic marker to kind of give it a border. And at some point, I think I might actually use these and make these into cards. I mean, not these particular ones, but use the celery flowers for cards or something. This one actually has a mushroom in the middle, and then the spores were kind of uneven. So I went and, did them with magic marker, so they'd show up a little bit more. So it kind of looks like there's an eye in the middle of this flower. I did a lot of additional magic markering of this one. And then this time, instead of putting the Mod Podge on the bottom and stamping over it, I just took a little bit of silver shimmer Mod Podge and put over the whole thing to make it shiny. Okay. This is kind of interesting. At first I didn't like it, but then I decided I did. It's purple cardstock. And those paper doilies, those white paper doilies that you put can put on a plate and put cookies on? I took white paper doilies and then I put them down and tried to put acrylic paint, over them, and then just kind of use it as sort of a stencil. And it did not come out looking anything like the actual doily, but I just thought it looked kind of cool. So here is another journal thing. Okay, now these are my stampers. I have purchased some acrylic paints, and since I can't paint, I just kind of limited myself. Well, I shouldn't say I can't paint. I'm not a very good representational painter, but I do sort of have fun smearing it around on things. So I smeared it around on the background, and then I took one of my fancy stampers and just put a stamper on it. So this is like another journal decoration. And then this is more acrylic paint, and it has a fancy stamper. And then if you see those little pink things in the background, those are little blueberry things. And then finally I tore a page out of my paper and my tablet, whatever you want to call it. And this is like the only attempt at art that didn't get completely thrown away. And I think the reason why I didn't throw it away is because I glued stuff to it, and I'm figuring maybe I can pry them back off. It's not really meant to be anything, like forest or undersea or whatever. I just had fun starting off with the acrylics and making the swirly shapes. And then I glued stuff to it. I have little copper fish findings that I use in jewelry, and I didn't clean them up. I left them they're kind of oxidized, but that's okay. And then I glued butterflies on there. And then I glued ribbon roses down. These were originally, let me find a good, oh yeah, I have my butterflies too. And then these were ribbon roses, and I took them and I markered them and added like silver and the copper marker. And then I just kept enhancing it with these funny little doodles. And, so, you know, I don't know really what I think of it. This one was spared, and, you know, the death in the trash can. And I'm just still kind of indecisive. So anyway, yeah, that is my crafty attempt at art for this week. Hopefully you'll see some progress in ability, or at least I will have taken all these little scrappy things that I'm playing with and made them into something. I want to make a book, and I've watched the cereal box tutorial, and I have also bought a book, and the book that I bought is the one that Sarah recommended, how to make books. So I'm excited. Anyway, all right, all you crafty people, have a wonderful evening and a wonderful week. Oh my goodness, the way I have my hair pinned up, if you want to take a look at that, I think that is so funny. My gray streaks in the front are like right next to my highlights. So I actually have like silver and red, sort of like a peppermint. Okay, that's irrelevant to crafting, but I think it's kind of cool. So anyhow, everybody, have a great night, have a great fortnight, and I'll see you again. Bye.